Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Lopes on Movies, WVUD's latest and greatest movie review and discussion show. And let me tell you guys, we have a very, very special episode for you this week. We saw not one, but two movies last weekend, and we are going to give you reviews of both. So, to join me on this insane undertaking, a first for the series, we have, as usual, live from New York City, Connor.
Hey.
We have Kyle.
Yo.
And also live from New York City and new to the show, we have Mark.
Hello.
So everybody, thank you for joining me on this very special episode. I'm thrilled and excited to talk about these two incredible films.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it was a busy long weekend. I watched these two movies back to back, which was quite the experience, and I can't wait to get into this. Yeah.
I guess let's just get right into it because we got a lot of ground to cover, guys. So, Mark, how about you give us a synopsis of the first movie we're going to be talking about, which is Godzilla, King of the Monsters?
Yes. The cryptozoological agency Monarch faces off against a battery of god-sized monsters, including the mighty Godzilla, who collides with Mothra, Rodan, and his ultimate nemesis, the three-headed King Ghidorah. This was directed by Michael Daughtry, who is probably most well known for a couple of independent horror films and the Christmas horror movie Krampus. This movie stars Kyle Chandler, Vera Farmiga, Millie Bobby Brown, Ken Watanabe, and many more. So, Kyle.
Yes.
What did you think of Godzilla, King of Monsters?
Well, we had some discussions before we sat down and recorded this, and it made it sound like that I'm the most positive one out of this group.
Very well made.
Which is really sad because I was very disappointed by this movie. So, there were things I liked. It was mostly bad. It was just boring human drama that had nothing to... Well, I guess it sort of had something to do. But it felt like it was some stupid family crap while, meanwhile, Godzilla's fighting in the background doing crap.
Yes. I believe that you could call this movie a family drama where there happens to be monsters in it.
Yeah. The monsters really, play a secondary role in this movie.
Yeah. Make no mistake, though, this is not a good family drama. This is a terrible family drama.
And you mean that because the family are filled with terrible people, right?
Actually, they really are.
Well, actually, yeah, I guess in a sense. But what I meant to say, really, is that I hated this movie and don't go see it.
Ooh, yeah. Okay.
So you're on the more negative end of things, Joe.
Yeah,
is that what you're trying to say?
So, for me, this is a case where I feel like it should be a criminal offense to make Godzilla, of all things, this boring.
Yes.
I don't think I've ever been this bored in a movie before. Okay, that's probably not true. I've seen a lot of
that almost definitely isn't true, but
I
feel angry at Godzilla being boring. Godzilla is using atomic breath, and I feel nothing. I feel
That's because you're being burned up from the inside, Mark.
Connor, before we get too ahead of ourselves, what did you think of Godzilla?
Okay, sure. So I ended up taking a nap at about a half hour in. Because...
It's not the first time that you've done this.
You really gotta get more sleep before you go see the movie.
It was a late night the night before. But yeah, so this was... I'm glad you guys also thought this was very boring because I put me to sleep at the beginning. One of the criticisms that there was for the first Godzilla movie, I guess this is
the Gareth Edwards
universe,
film
right?
from
the Gareth Edwards one.
Yeah.
They a lot of people didn't like that one because there was not a lot of Godzilla in it, I guess, and not a lot of Godzilla fighting.
Yeah.
That was the biggest criticism, yeah.
The last 20 minutes was Godzilla, the rest was crap.
Right. I think this one was similar, where you didn't see Godzilla fighting a lot, or the movie is hyped for Godzilla, King of the Monsters, and you mark red off all the different monsters that are supposed to be in this one.
Yeah.
The fights between them they're not clear, and they're very short.
That's the funny thing. You said that there's not a lot of Godzilla fighting. Well, even when Godzilla's fighting, you can't see him.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
Generally speaking.
So just let me finish this. I kind of liked that other Godzilla movie because I think the parts where Godzilla's not on the screen were still good. This one had none of that.
Yeah, I don't remember disliking 2014 as much as this movie, honestly.
Well, I can
All I
tell
remember
you,
about
like,
that was our hour-long conversation we had after we saw it.
oh yeah, we had a long conversation. We had a spirited debate,
Yes.
I would say. But I mean, so that movie for me is a good like comparison to this, because on the surface they're both very similar, but the differences in the filmmaking technique are so apparent and obvious. Where the Gareth Edwards movie, again, like Godzilla is used very sparingly, but every time he shows up, it's like this incredible momentous occasion. And the way that the movie is filmed really accentuates like how his size and his weight and how every movement he makes has this insane reaction in the rest of like where he is, especially like water moving around and like all this great stuff. It's very, very Spielbergian too, in the way that it treats Godzilla almost like that's like the T-Rex scene. There's a lot of tension leading up to the moments when Godzilla finally shows up. So it has that sense of like actual filmmaking and tension and wonder to it.
Yeah.
And this has nothing.
Godzilla just shows up every once in a while.
Yeah, there are two moments in... I believe the atomic breath shows up in this movie.
It happens
But
like
if
3
you
times.
Okay, so it's just used all the time.
Yeah.
But, like, there's one in particular that I'm thinking of in both, where in 2014, which I went back and watched some clips of, the atomic breath scene in that is a moment that you're really, really excited for. It's like, there's a bunch of build-up, even at the moment of it happening, where it's like, yeah, Godzilla's gonna get one on him. In this one, he just kind of uses it whenever. Like, there's one point where he's revived, and then he surfaces from the ocean, and he just shoots an atomic breath off into space for no reason at all.
It's
That's actually
nothing.
Because it's
that's
so
the poster.
cool.
Yeah, it's just really cool.
Again,
I love it.
It just demonstrates a complete lack of any sense of like how to make a movie or how to tell a story.
Like Godzilla of all things. Like, actually, this is a really good point. The moment I was worried about this movie, because with this kind of thing, there are red flags that crop up.
Oh, of course.
And I go into these movies, and there's always kind of like, there's an oh no moment where I'm getting worried, but I'm giving the movie its chance to pull out of like its death spiral. That happened about 10 seconds into this movie. During the opening shot, you have what's his name, the main character shouting off like it's heavy rain. He's
Kyle
like shouting
Chandler.
Jason over and over.
Yeah. Nice
yeah.
reference.
And it pans up from him just like it's nothing, and there's Godzilla just walking through the city. There's no build-up whatsoever to the main, like, he's supposed to be important, guys.
Yeah.
Like, it should be a weighty occasion when Godzilla shows up on screen for the first time. It's just kind of like, oh, hey, how's it going, Godzilla?
He's just another cast member now. It's it's no big deal.
He's just one of the guys.
This is a classic modern Hollywood blockbuster in the sense that it's like, it doesn't really care about the story. It cares about the place that this fits into a larger universe where future movies will continue to expand on it.
Oh, you mean the big monster cinematic universe?
Yeah, this is the Titans, I believe, is this cinematic universe or whatever it is. The King Kong is part of it too, and I'm sure,
The funny thing is that industry existed totally naturally in Japan for decades on decades without people having to plan it out, because they're basically just like dumb movies where people in rubber suits fight each other over and over again. It didn't have to be this big thing.
Now they're boring movies where incomprehensible CGI slaps at each other for a few minutes, and then there's a couple of scenes in like a couple of helicopters where humans yell at each other.
Can I just say my favorite scene real fast?
Please.
Movie?
And then after you do that, let's wrap this up because I want to move on.
My favorite scene, which kind of just shows how crappy this movie is near the end, climax, Godzilla, King Ghidorah, duking it out. They're about to get ready, about to fight. And then the camera pans out and just zooms over to a truck with humans talking about who knows what.
Can I actually expand on that?
The whole last half hour is so disappointing and boring.
To just kind of expand on this, if you go into this looking for good action, here's what you get. you get about a half-second shot of Godzilla and another monster approaching each other, and then it cuts to some inconsequential thing happening to the human characters that somehow are surviving this scene, running around, doing nothing of interest whatsoever. That's most of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, so I think I can speak for most of us, maybe all of us. The bottom line, I mean, this is a movie that you should not see. Don't do it. Don't waste your time. It's like almost 2.5 hours in the theater.
And it moves super slow.
It's slow. It is slow. So
for a giant monster action movie, it's like the slowest movie I've ever watched.
The action has no weight. There's no tension. There's no build up to anything. The story is boring. The main characters are nothing. This is a textbook, easy to not recommend movie. But in its stead, I will recommend that you go seek out some other Godzilla movies, particularly Shin Godzilla from 2016, which was the Japanese Godzilla movie that was directed by what's his first name?
Hideki Anno.
Hideki Anno. That is a great movie.
It's fantastic. I love that movie.
And it's nothing like this. It's. I'm not even certain that it would scratch the same itch that you're looking for if you're just looking for monsters fighting each other.
Yeah, if you're looking for that, just go watch Pacific Rim 1 again.
Yeah, something like that.
Go do anything else with your life.
Or watch one of the older Godzilla movies with the rubber suits, because those have charm to them too. Just please, don't waste your time. All right, so we've talked at length about Godzilla. I think it's about time that we move on to the part of the episode that we are the most excited for, and that is our review and analysis of Ma.
This is the most fun I've had in a long time.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. So, we've all been waiting for this moment ever since a couple of days ago when we saw Ma.
Well, we've been waiting for weeks. We've been hyping it on the show.
It's true. We have been hyping this for weeks. So I think it's the viewers, the listeners, whatever you are, I know that you've been waiting. So let's just get right down to business. Connor, can you just give us a little bit of a synopsis of Ma?
Gladly. A lonely woman befriends a group of teenagers and decides to let them party at her house. Just when the kids think their luck couldn't get any better, things start happening that make them question the intentions of their very generous host. It was directed by Tate Taylor, known for The Girl on the Train, and the Oscar bait film The Help. It stars Octavia Spencer, Diana Silvers, who was also in the movie Booksmart in a minor role. I didn't see Booksmart, but you guys liked it. Juliette Lewis, Luke Evans, and many, many more. Joey, why don't you get us started with Ma?
Ma is trash. And I mean that in both a good way and a bad way. Okay? So let me define this a little bit for you guys. If a movie is trash, that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. Because if the filmmakers are aware that they're making trash, they can have a lot of fun with that and do something that is enjoyable on the level of like some level of irony, but also some level of seriousness. I think the poster child of this is Sam Raimi and like Evil Dead 2, right? Where that's a movie that is very, very funny, but it's not funny for the characters in the movie. There's no winking at the audience saying like, haha, we're all in a movie, we're all having fun here, this is all a joke. It's funny because the situations are completely ridiculous and the choices in the filmmaking are ridiculous, but for the characters, it's deadly serious. So that is a beautiful kind of filmmaking that's kind of its own genre in a way. And Ma, maybe like 50% of the time is like prime trash. And the other 50% of the time, it's just bad trash. Does that make sense to you guys? Do you think do you kind of understand where I'm going with this?
I think that's a very accurate way of putting this movie.
I understand, but I think I might have liked it more than you then.
That's not possible.
Okay. Let's just everybody. Let's just go. Kyle, Mark, Connor. Brief thoughts. What did you think of Ma?
Me first.
You first.
Loved it. Well, actually, I think I hate it. I don't know. It's hard to say, but Regardless, as I left the theater, I was thinking this was definitely something I'm glad that I saw, because it maybe made me laugh more than I have in a pretty long time in a movie theater. It was just so dumb. The dialogue was completely awful, but in all the right ways.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, everything you said is right, though. In a lot of ways, it's a terrible movie, but man, was it great.
All right, Mark.
So I just want to double check. I believe me and Connor saw both of these in the same order, and you and Kyle both saw them in the same order, which was Ma and then Godzilla for you
Yes.
guys.
Yes.
And then us was Godzilla and then Ma.
Mhm.
I have to say, unequivocally, the correct order, if you had to watch both of these, is Godzilla and then Ma. Because it made Ma such a good... Like, I had no idea what I was getting in for. And I was very, very happy to have that, as opposed to whatever else could have been in store for me. It is almost like a John Hughes movie mixed with Misery, if that makes sense.
That's interesting. Yeah, I actually didn't think of it that way, but yeah, I guess
It's a
you
very
could
high
see
school
that.
movie.
Yeah, in a way. A very bad
I would
high
say,
school
like,
movie.
It's
Yes.
very, very high school. But in like the old 80s style kind of way. There is a lot of cliques, there's a lot of mean stuff going on to a lot of people. And it really leans into that because that's almost the core conflict in the entire movie. And there's a lot of really good, like, there's a lot of good comedy moments, and there's a lot of good set pieces. I was laughing for a good portion of this movie, and I think that it wasn't like, for like you said, there are moments in this kind of movie where you're not sure if they meant for that to be funny or not, but it was, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it happens a lot in this one. It's really good.
Connor?
I think I loved Octavia Spencer in this. I think she went for it, and this is such a departure from anything I've ever seen her in. I don't think she's done anything even close to this before. She stole the show for me.
I think we could agree that nobody is phoning it in here. They all dialed it in for this piece of garbage.
So good.
Right, which is amazing because we watched the trailer. I think obviously all of us are we were making fun of this before we even saw it. We were looking at because the trailer is so ridiculous, and it just looked, just the concept alone just seems insane.
I mean, I guess
you guys are talking about.
So the thing that makes this a little bit interesting, like, it's a Blumhouse production, right? And Blumhouse is known for a couple of things, but one of the things they're known for is producing a lot of really bad movies with really dumb titles. Yes. Like, it's like they copyright the title, like Truth or Dare, and then make a bad horror movie called Truth or Dare, or like Ouija, like about the Ouija board. Like, so they do dumb stuff like that. Like, they're known for putting out garbage. And the Purge movies also. That's also Blumhouse. But Blumhouse also sometimes puts out good things because they are an independent studio. And one of the interesting things about them is that because they're not working with very high budgets, they're totally willing to bet on filmmakers that might have interesting ideas and just say, hey, do whatever you want. Here's some money. Make a movie. So that's how Jordan Peele kind of got his start with Get Out. That was also Blumhouse. So they're a very strange movie studio.
Yeah, but Happy Death Day is another one too. That movie did well. Same thing.
So the interesting thing with Ma is that the trailer makes it look like one of the Truth or Dare types of Blumhouse production because it's so dumb looking.
Yeah.
But when you see the pedigree of people involved, it makes you go like, what's going on here? Right? Like Octavia Spencer, we got Allison Janney, we got Luke Evans. Like, these are actors. These are not like guys they pulled off of Instagram and said be in a movie for $10. This is actually actors. So it definitely like made me think, okay, there might be something else going on here. I don't know what's going on, but I want to know more. And man, I'm so glad that I had that inclination because this was such an experience.
Oh, it was. Yeah, just watching and you knew it was coming eventually, so it starts off like somewhat tame, and you don't know that Ma is going to be what ends up being a crazy person.
Mhm.
I mean, I think that's pretty clear. The
Yeah,
whole
right.
time, I'm just on the edge of my seat, like, what are you up to, Ma? I can't just. I
Yeah,
was,
he said
I
that
was,
several times throughout the film.
I was totally in on this.
I was totally sold on it too, though. Like it really hooks you fast. Like there, I don't know what it is. Something about the when Ma just like rats them out for almost no reason whatsoever near the start of the movie. It's like, what is with this lady? And then like it keeps building on that over and over, and that question keeps building up, and you never really get like a good answer until close to the end, which makes sense, obviously. But like, it's like writing or something. Like they knew what they were doing.
All right.
It's crazy.
Look. I just want to stop you for a second there. I don't know that Ma's writers really knew what they were doing.
That is entirely possible.
I would agree with that.
The writing in this movie is very, very strange.
Yeah.
There
I
are
would-
some
I would agree
very
with that.
bizarre. Like, okay, so I will say that structurally, I understand what you're getting at. There are
That's
things
what I mean, like
that
the
are
structure
built to,
of it.
and in the end, you sort of feel like it makes some bit of logical sense. It builds
within
in
the
a good way.
context of the movie itself.
So that I will, for the most part, agree with you with. Though I do think there are some things that don't land quite as well. But really, the main thing is that the dialogue is so out there. Like
It's very, very weird.
It feels like it wasn't like nobody like proofread it or something, and then they just decided to shoot it. Like I just wanted like my first thing, like the thing that really sold me on this movie initially was in an early scene. So the main character's name is Maggie. She's just a new high school transfer. So she's in like a study lounge or something, and some girl comes up to her, just unprovoked out of nowhere, and says, "Hey, hang out with us tonight. We're going to be friends now." So I'm like, oh, okay, this is weird. But then Maggie says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't hang out with you. I'm going to the music festival with my mom." The music festival? Just the music festival. Are the other characters supposed to know what music festival she's talking about based on the vague description, the music festival? That's the kind of thing that maybe you throw in a first draft to come up with something better later. But
It's also reiterated that it's the kind of town that nothing ever happens.
I just don't
But there's
understand.
music festivals, there's casinos, there's tons of stuff.
So that's when I was like, whoa, okay, something's weird is going on here. And then it just escalates to an absurd degree later on. I mean, Kyle, there's a couple of scenes that I know you were like way keen on.
I think in the same way that the music festival really kind of like it clicked with you that this movie is, something different. Mine would definitely be the jock kid's best scene when, for little to no reason, after they first get to Ma's place, the cool new hangout spot, he decides to get all up in her face.
Oh, that was so
And
weird.
is just like, "You don't want to be a loser, do you, Ma?"
Yeah, that was. Are you uncool, Ma? Like you're accusing like a 40 to 50-year-old woman of being uncool.
He just gets all up in his face to this woman that's been nothing but nice to them, and
And he's
just
ordering
the
her
biggest
to like
dick.
make her basement a party room, basically.
Yeah, but it comes out of nowhere, and the way he says it is just the worst or the best. I don't know. It's just, oh my gosh.
And the follow-up to that is
Well, the
something
follow-up is
special,
amazing too, where Ma pulls a gun on him and tells him to strip, get naked, right? And he does, and then she's like, "Ha, just kidding." And everyone just laughs it off like it was nothing that this old lady just made this 14-year-old
Classic
kid
Ma.
strip. Like they all just get over it.
Dude.
That's
It's
just classic mom.
That's just Ma.
Ma
Ma's
being
just
Ma,
joking around.
man.
Just joking around.
Yeah.
And like,
He's a jokester.
and like the jock's dialogue doesn't even stop there, because like a few scenes later, they find a box of alcohol by their car, and he says, and I wrote this down because I need to remember this line. He says, "What if this was a bomb? That would have sucked."
Yeah, he says that. No, they haven't opened it yet.
Yeah.
He's predicting that they're all gonna explode in a minute.
Yo, what if this was a bomb?
That
Yo,
would
that would
suck, man.
So the way you guys are saying this, though, these are all great things to me.
Oh yeah,
They're hilarious.
Right.
this is
but
fantastic.
That's one of those things where you're not sure if they meant to do that, though, but it just worked for it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the real question.
I mean, there's plenty more examples of just strange scenes like the jock kid getting up in Ma's face. I mean,
Yeah.
there's there's a weird scene where Ma like gets into a fight with an old lady at a nail salon.
That was a wonderful scene too, man.
So good.
There's a point where one of the girls, like, because of course the premise of this movie, which I don't even think we've really gotten into that much.
No, we haven't.
But
No, we haven't even touched on that.
But it's just there's so much to say. The premise of the movie is that there's this old lady named Ma who befriends these young people and lets them basically drink in her basement. And it escalates to the point where now they're like throwing big parties in her basement and stuff. And all the
And you
high
get
school kids know that Ma's place is the best place to drink, basically.
And you get a big sense that she's like trying to recapture some aspect of her youth.
Sure.
You don't really know why, besides that she's old for a long while, but that's basically the gist.
At some point, like one of the girls like decides, oh, Ma is crazy, we have to stop going there. So she sends out like a snap to like all of the kids in the high school to say, don't go to Ma's place. Ma's the worst. She's crazy. She's out of her mind. But she sends it to Ma also?
She must have been in the group, dude.
But you can choose who to send things to. You don't have to send it to Ma.
Dude.
No, but they were showing that Ma is really good with the social media stuff.
Oh yeah, no, she is. She
had an
definitely
extra
is.
account hooked up to that stuff.
I guess like there's just a few more little things. Like this is another one of those like high school movies that feels like it was written by like a 50-year-old man who's like trying to like just kind of guess at what high schoolers do or like you get like in some of the party scenes they're playing like way old 80s music.
Yes.
Like yeah, that's what the kids are dancing to.
Right.
I want to
kids are dancing to
counterpoint
this-
that.
Kids are
I
using
agree
the
with
dance.
They're dancing to Funky Town. Yeah.
That, I think, is actually because Ma is throwing the parties, because you actually do see her at one point go and tune a radio or some kind of player thing
Oh, interesting. I didn't even
to
think
put
about
on
I guess that would add up.
her music.
What can I say?
so I think
Ma
this-
is 2 steps ahead of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't poke holes into Ma.
No.
Nope. Well,
This is airtight, this film.
Look, okay. Since we're kind of coming up on the end of our time here, I just want to say, if you guys think we're being ironic, that we're trying to lead you astray, that we're trying to say Ma is great, so that you go and see it and are disappointed, it's not true. Ma is.
why you gotta be so distrustworthy?
Like Ma is trash. I told you, it is trash. But if you are the right kind of person, it is the exact right kind of trash for you.
Oh yes.
And this is definitely the most memorable movie I've seen in a while. Like no doubt about it. Like there's so much more we could have talked about and that I want to talk about. But
Yes.
I think we're going to have to cut it a little bit short because we're running out of time. But suffice to say, please, if you're going to go see a movie this weekend, do not go see Godzilla. Please park yourself in the closest Ma showing you can get to and just have a great time. Everybody, do you think that makes sense? Do you
Oh, yeah.
agree?
I would agree.
100%. Ma is the true king of monsters.